Welcome to the Back to Me podcast, where we help multicultural incoming freshman women and men manage their entire college experience throughout post-graduation to successfully transition into entrepreneurship and corporate workspaces as new hires.
Back to me. Oh, I turned it around. I'm back to me. I finally figured it out. I'm back to me. So when you think you have nothing, back to me. I go back to me. Yeah, I'm back to me.
Hello, everyone. It's your host, Yoli Tamu. When was the last time you took personal inventory of yourself and the way you truly manage your time to develop the life you want? In today's episode, we celebrate Black History Month with the return of the independent Billboard-ranked musician and owner of Flow Brands and Flow Wine, Marcus Johnson. Find out how he created memorable experiences with his business ventures for people of all cultures, while developing an inner superpower that has served as a roadmap for himself and his young daughter. As a recent recipient of the 2023 Joseph R. Biden Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award for his service in the community, Marcus shares how to advocate for yourself and start creating your own legacy. Enjoy. We are back with Marcus Johnson 360, the full circle gentleman himself. He is an independent Billboard-ranked musician, NAACP Image Award nominee, owner of Flow Brands and Flow Wine, a philanthropist with a Juris Doctorate, who is also a father, Alpha fraternity member, and HU alumni. Welcome back to the podcast, Marcus. How's it going?
Great to be here.
So glad to have you. Now, I've been looking at you on the website. You're touring right now, right? You're kind of moving around a lot in February.
It's crazy.
For Black History Month. Very
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah, so we're glad to have you back. Thank you. You're with us for our Divine Nine series representing the Alphas, and we appreciate you. I wanted you to just remind our listeners about the concept of flow. What does that mean? And how have you managed to be so successful with your brand?
Flow means for the love of. It is an extension of who I am. God gave it to me about 15 years ago when the music industry changed dynamics. And I'm one who does a lot of reading, a lot of listening, and a lot of watching. You know, back in 2007, seeing how Target had started their Compass, like music to dance by. It was in the card section. They had this whole lifestyle section of CDs. And I was like, well, this is what I've always wanted to do. And in our research, we found out that people who are in their, teens to 20s, maybe late 20s, early 30s, describe things as hot. But once you become successful, music and things become functional. So it turned into, well, that's lifestyle. How do I use music to clean my house? How do I use music to cook? How do I use music to make it through the day? How do I use music for the midnight session? How do I insert these things? And then I figured out we were in the therapy industry and not in entertainment. I'm not here to entertain per se. What our music may have as a secondary result is entertainment, but really we're providing a level of escapism for people, creating experiences for them to come out and enjoy, a jazz club with their significant other or significant others, meaning your best friends, your girls, your boys, etc. Foundational places to meet new people, to expand your horizons and to create memorable experiences, which, by the way, when you get above 30, you start to value that more than, again, hot things, right? So Flow was a brand we had that was originally for lovers only, but I knew I could not scale that. And in my office one night, I just was looking out of the window and it was like, hit me for the love of. And immediately went out, ran down to the patent and trademark office, got a trademark on Flow for the love of. We still have that. And began to do these lifestyle series of CDs, Flow Chill, Flow Romance, Flow Standards. And we still, to this day, set our own standard of having 3 records on an independent record label at the time. I was partnered with Bob Johnson at the time to have 3 records hit the top 15 of Billboard at the same time across the traditional jazz charts and the contemporary jazz charts when Billboard actually meant something, that you were making money and selling CDs. So The music industry still started tanking with the peer-to-peer services, and then we switched, and I was like, what else do we have? Well, if we're in the therapy industry, our number one target segment is women. Their number one alcoholic beverage is wine. I see them drinking wine at all of our concerts or clubs, etc. Maybe there's an extension in the brand in wine, and took a chance on that. Started producing in Virginia immediately. Within a year, we were producing in California. Now we're partnered and joint ventured with a company called WX Brands, and we produce out of Sonoma, California, with product from Northern California and our Sonoma grapes on the Rosé and the Chardonnay. And our Cabernet Sauvignon is from Paso Robles. And now we're making new experiences with our Love and Jazz weekend. Looks like we're going to be at the new Emirate Resort down in West Palm in next February. And the extension of the Flow platform into the Flow app. Because if we're in therapy, wine is a part of it, but we need to tell our own journeys in our own way with our own messaging, yet that is accessible to the broader market, meaning other people that might not be African American. Most other companies don't do it the opposite way. You're stuck with Calm and a certain vibe. You're stuck with Headspace, and they're laser focused on who their, target demographic is. But I believe with our rise in Flow and the success of that, with the Flow podcast and Catch the Flow, we have a unique perspective on programming and getting music and content and messages and experiences and expressions and quotes and life journeys where you can start here. Here's where I am. Here's where I want to go. And we help you create the dynamic that gets you there. It's needed, and it's needed in our voice. So I'm super excited as we begin the business planning process to go after, funding that we need to take that and go up against the biggies.
This is a great path, music therapy. I mean, we heard this with India Ari, back in the day when she was putting her music out. Everything about her, to me, was music therapy. And for you to extend it in a jazz market, that makes a lot of sense. We're in a relaxed state, as you said. I like that. So for Black History Month, I mean, wow, you're somebody that is constantly on the move. You're doing so many things. You know how responsible it is to be there for your daughter. I mean, how do you manage all of this? We were just talking about you had a yoga class. I mean, how many men are going to yoga? You understand? I appreciate to hear these things and how you're taking care of yourself. So how do you manage all these things?
The best way that I can, I use my calendar. It's funny because we're talking about how to incorporate the calendar journey into the whole Flow experience that we're creating. Your calendar doesn't lie. It tells you what you value, and it tells you the time that you have and what you can actually do. And the more I don't look at my calendar, the more I slip up, I trip up, I mess up. The more I pay attention to my calendar, it is the blueprint for success. And I did a Rise and Flow. You made mention of that earlier or off camera about the difference between a to-do list and a success list. And many of us have been taught how to do to-do lists, but we have not actually developed success lists. You can tell that I value my business. You can tell that when I'm in town, I do all that I can to spend time with and value my daughter. I have a 9 a.m. check-in with family each day. That's my mom and stepmom and where I can my sister. And, things may not be, a half hour long, but you put it in your calendar. Your calendar will let you know whether you can do it or not. And as you review it and reflect on it, it'll let you know whether or not, it'll tell you what you value.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, you put that in there, it just works, man. And again, it goes back to my second TED Talk where I talk about are you willing to spend time with you? Because I'm recently, in a breakup, post breakup of a long-term relationship. My house is quiet. Sometimes it's kind of crazy going even to the TV to turn on music because those are things that we did. But are you willing to then transcend that anyway and spend time by yourself figuring out where you're going? What do you want? That is a very difficult question that most of us have never been asked, nor ask ourselves, because we've always been told what to do. You go to school, you go to college, especially in upper middle class African American neighborhoods, and families. You're going to go to school, you're going to go to college, you're going to get a job. this, not, well, what do you think about this? How do I help you with your journey? So we have to ask ourselves what we want. And if you want to spend time with your family, if you want to take care of yourself, you can do it. It just takes a journey. You have to be willing to put it in your calendar like you do Waze. Here's where I am. Here's where I'm going. Here's the journey and how to get there.
It's interesting you say that about our parents because, I feel like, they just did what they could with what they knew. You know what I mean? It was like, this is what they imagined success to be. And they want the best for us. But yeah, sometimes you kind of drop the ball in the self-care department, in the, personal maintenance department. Like, how do I manage all of this? So it does sometimes take life. It takes time. It takes age for us to see these things.
And it takes exposure. I mean, there's a saying out there, and I've been saying it pretty much all my life. I don't know where I got the wisdom from when I was younger, but like I would say, like, be careful of what you eat. And I'm not talking about food. Your environment is the most important thing that you have around you. And, as we have these high level discussions on flow on the platform, we've been talking about the idea of, the saying, if you look at your 5 closest friends, you're the average of them. So if you're drinking, using drugs, or if your closest 5 friends are drinking, using drugs, out in the streets, single, I can guarantee you what you're going to look like in a matter of time. Whereas, and again, with your parents, if they are working to read books on parenting, if they're in therapy, if they are working for self-development, and us as parents now, as we're doing that, then I can guarantee you that if you're working with other people like that, that your journey is going to look like that when you actually do your best to raise your kids. And how I was raising Chase 3 years ago or 4 years ago versus where I am now is totally different because I'm still on my life journey. I'm Marcus JD, MBA, successful musician and businessman. I know everything I'm talking about. I am, oh my God, now that I know what I know, wow, am I lacking in these different areas? How do I create a level of abundance around me? How do I get my flow on? And that's really, I'm letting people in on my life journey with rise and flow and things like that. It is very important that you recognize who you have around you, what you're eating, and then how you transmit that, because we are transmitters. We are full of energy. We have our aura, and if yours is red with lack, that's the frequency that people are going to pick up on, and you're going to pick up and be able to communicate with other people who lack. But if you're in like an indigo state, right, then you're going to be in a state where it just doesn't stop. You have to actually disconnect, like, oh my God, my cup runneth over. But you have to learn it. You have to learn how to take your energy and turn it into positivity.
Mm-hmm. This is so good. Wow, giving us a self-care lesson. Now, you did an article recently and you talked about a superpower. So is this superpower connected to your personal maintenance plan and the way that you take care of yourself?
Absolutely. And it's being around people of like makeup, right? And that isn't other lawyers, that isn't other doctors, that isn't other successful business people. It's people who are on their journey and they know that they're emanating positive energy from within them. Like, hey, I am a dance instructor. You don't have to have a PhD to do that. You don't have to have a JD to do that. But I am so willing to help people on their journey through dancing. Or I'm a piano teacher and I feel fulfillment in teaching piano. And you are emanating, again, an indigo aura and message. Your superpower is that you make it. And we all know what our superpower is. It is just a matter of getting around people that can help you see it. Yo, you're amazing. Thank you. And going and closing the door and being the first person every day to wake up to yourself and say, you're amazing. That is very important. That is a superpower. I support me. I love me. That's a superpower. Because if you can take the world and go like this to it, I got you. Yeah, you're trying to come in, but my superpower is I have the strength to pull society back from me and to get through the door of the other side. And that is whatever I create because I was made in the likeness of creator. Shucks, man.
Right.
That's it. That's your superpower. You were born. We're all born with our superpower. That's what the marketing model doesn't want you to know because they feel as though if I can't control you through lack thereof, then wait a minute, then I can't control you. What they don't understand is like they can enjoy the process too. And I can come from a perspective of abundance and I can still go buy things. Yeah, I could still like a Ferrari and make enough money to go buy one. I could like a 150-foot yacht and go buy one. I could buy a Cessna Citation 8-passenger jet and go buy one. But I'm buying it from a perspective of abundance, meaning I'm not looking over my shoulder every time because I did people in order to get here. That's the problem. I believe if you're a superpower in the terms of a country, if you're a superpower and you have to worry about people coming after you all the time with negativity because of things that maybe you did, that's something that you have to seek inside and see what's going on inside you. You can have it all. Recognize you were born with your superpower, cultivate your superpower, fight with your superpowers, and use the tools that God put here, our natural, laws that work, that you can create whatever you want to, man.
So amazing. I mean, everything you're saying is so true. It starts with looking at yourself in the mirror, waking up, acknowledging who you are. This is so powerful. And then when you talk about your superpower, I mean, wow, you're recently honored by the President of the United States. So what you're saying is truly valid and it's being recognized by so many people. So can you tell us what was this Lifetime Achievement Award for? And congratulations to you. Wow. What's that all about?
Believe it or not, it was an anonymous nomination. A lot of times you have to put in a nomination for yourself and then get consideration. This was a shock to me, but a panelist of business leaders and pastors and community activists nominated a group of us with 6,000 plus volunteer hours was a minimum. And when my name came up, they, figured that, hey, look, this is a guy that is worthy of this award. So lifetime achievement and volunteerism is huge for me because that also adds to what we're doing with Flow. And to be acknowledged by the President of the United States for really anything in that office and what it represents is truly an honor. And it's a testament to my legacy of actually seeding back in the community. And, people telling me I'm crazy. You're crazy. Again, my second TED Talk is do things that make people say you're crazy. I sure am. Instead of saying, I don't understand you, can you help me? It's you're crazy. Man, look, again, what are you eating? Who do you have around you? And if they aren't challenging you with ways in which you can actually realize your goals and your superpowers, you need to let them go. Because you too can get an award like this or other awards or the awards that, represent success and a commitment and discipline in your particular area of, expertise or work or passion. And I mean, it's imperative.
Very cool. Now, talk about legacy. Your daughter, she's watching all this unfold. You know what I mean? How old is she right now? How old is your daughter?
She's 10.
She's 10. So she's watching all this unfold. So how has this affected the way she sees her own future? I mean, and just what's possible for her. Have you guys had those types of conversations?
Absolutely, because I tell her no matter what her mom or dad has done, this is her life and she's got to live it for her. Her mother is in real estate private equity and is a Harvard undergrad, Harvard MBA. I am me, and I'm a Howard University undergrad, Georgetown JD MBA. And what I tell her is none of that is yours. What you get from us is our experiences. You have to create your own legacy. You can't put your name on my degree and it be valid. You have to go out there and do your own thing. And I'm here to help you be better than me. I want you to, I hate to use the word better, but I want you to achieve more than I have. But really what I want you to achieve is a level of happiness where Chase is cool with herself. And, she's in a school, in a private school, and some of them can be a little bit entitled, but I've had to deal with instances where my daughter has been pulled out and singled out, I'll say, amongst some of the other, young ladies in her school. And I've had to step in and say, just so you know, Chase has a real advocate who's a real lawyer as her father. If this happens again, this meeting is not going to go this way. I'm just letting you know, and this isn't a threat. I'm just promising you that if I see my daughter pulled out again, like I saw the other day or, a few months ago during Thanksgiving, then you're going to have to deal with not parent Marcus, but lawyer Marcus that's lawyered up for your discrimination against my daughter. Just so you know. Oh, it's so great that Chase has an advocate. She's so lucky. That's great. Well and good. I just want you to know that Chase has an advocate in her father. And, I think that's what Chase values a lot. When she sees me come up to school and at the end, everybody's waving at me, hi, Mr. Johnson, hi, Marcus, because you had to kind of pull a coattail and say, like, I just need you to see us because if you don't see me, I'm going to have to do something to make sure that you see me.
Right.
And it's not easy work. And I have to tell Chase, everybody's not going to like you throughout your career. We've had conversations where she was talking to a young lady who wasn't responding to her. And I said, can you explain that to me? Why you're breaking your neck to say hello to somebody who isn't saying hello to you? I was like, so what are you telling me about how you feel about you? Well, Dad, that's just who I am. So you're cool with saying hello to people who consistently don't say hello to you. So let's try something different. Why do you dig yourself? Yes. Okay. So what do you think if you didn't say hello to somebody after a while, what do you think they would do? They would stop, they'd probably stop saying something to me until I answer. It's like, cool. And when they stopped, what would you probably do? Well, maybe wonder why they stopped. Exactly. I said, so as we go into this, why don't we make a rule that we engage with people who engage with us, especially after I've tried to engage with them? Okay. So 2 weeks later, I go to pick her up. Young girl jumps in her car. Bye, Chase. I said, oh, really? What happened there? She's like, I listened to you. I was like, explain that. She said, Daddy, I just realized that I'm not going to speak to people that don't speak to me. And I stopped talking to her. And I went on about my days with my friends who talked and interacted with me. And Chase is very eloquent. Her vocabulary, based on our investment, right, is like, those who engage with me, I was engaging with them. And one day, about a week ago, she came up to me and said, hi, Chase. And I smiled inside because I knew that what you had said worked. That's parenting.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That's the legacy I need to create, that Chase understands, here's my boundary. I don't need you.
Right.
I got me.
At 10. Good for her.
Yeah. But these are the things that if you are willing to have these conversations with your daughters and your sons, this is how they grow up, understanding these things.
Mm-hmm. So good. So good. We serve, our incoming freshmen on this platform that are dealing with anxiety going into a new environment and the postgraduates heading out into the workforce and the anxiety of transition. So as we wrap up here, I like to wrap up with words of encouragement for our listeners that are, really in search of and in seeking this superpower that you talk about. So do you have some parting words to tap into this superpower of love and intention that you talked about in your article?
Yeah, do it. I mean, I laugh, I don't laugh, but I think it's very interesting. Even in your words, you say they're searching for. Are you searching for something that is inside of you?
Right.
Do it. When you do it, okay, what does a superpower look like? Well, when I do this, it looks like a superpower. Then do that. Your intention is inside of you. We're all faithful beings, we say, and I have faith and I'm in the Bible and this. But then when you go to Genesis and it says we're made in the likeness of, well, then you have to create. Your anxiety is based on the fact that you feel like you lack control. And the marketing model, including IG and Snapchat and TikTok and Facebook, has done a great job of brainwashing you into thinking that you're disconnected from your higher power. But how can you be disconnected from something that's within inside of you? You can't be. So therefore, the anxiety also comes from the fact that you are looking into the future. Stop. Look at you right now. Look in the mirror, get a dry erase marker and write down all the awesome things you know about yourself. And even if it's one, that awesomeness is your superpower. If you have one superpower, then you ride that bad boy or bad girl until it falls off. fly, transmit. Love you and all of you and your imperfectly being self of you. And then those are your superpowers, transcending those thoughts in the back of your head telling you, well, you shouldn't be here and you don't deserve this and everything else like that. What are you talking about? That's society. This is society in your ear. This is ego in your ear. Make sure you surround yourself with the positive people that will tell you, self, hey, girl, hey, brah, this is what you need to do. And here's why I think this. You may not want to hang around that person. And here's why I think this. You may want to call this person. I'll make the introduction. And here's why I think this. It's part of my deeper model. That's what you need to do. And when you're focusing on moving forward, onward and upward, you can't have anxiety because you're in you right now. And by the way, the answer is right in you every day in that mirror with your dry erase board with, this is the stuff I'm going to knock out of the park today, period. And then give yourself a break when you may not reach it in the time that you think you should have reached it because you still have tomorrow. You have all of your days left to do that thing. Then you don't have anxiety.
Right. So good. So as much as people emphasize exercising their bodies, exercising this mind is everything.
Look, everybody focuses on physical hygiene. Well, if I eat right, or if I do this and that and the other. No, very few of us and very few communities focus on mental hygiene. Very few families focus on mental hygiene. Well, you're crazy. Yeah, maybe so, but there's a way out of that. You know what I mean? And how do I use crazy, to get ahead? Because I'm going to tell you this. I don't know anybody who's created a new innovative idea that wasn't called crazy. I don't know anybody who took a chance on love and has real love and passion right now that wasn't called crazy. Man, girl, you're crazy. You're not going to be able to get that. Man, you crazy. You're not going to be able to get that. You define it inside of yourself. But that's it. It's our mental hygiene. How are you practicing slowing down? How are you sending yourself the messages you need to get? What are you telling yourself about where you're hanging and who you're hanging with? Because you're telling yourself, when your girlfriend is what? When your boy is not on the right side of where you need to be. When you're wasting your time. And you think you get to go home and go to sleep and not hear that in the inside? That's your other voice telling you, nah, Shorty, that's unacceptable. That's your God-connected voice. I'll let you do it because you have free will. And I will let you ruin yourself because of my infinite wisdom. I'll be okay, says God. But don't act like you don't. Take care of your mental hygiene. And this voice, it never stops. But what happens is the volume turns down. And then it goes, and it's talking, and it's talking. And you're like, but I don't hear anything. Because you are self-led. That's the key. I believe that we're always in charge because we are connected to something greater.
We have a partnership with something greater.
Always.
Love it.
If you're alive, you're connected to something else.
That's great. Very powerful. All right. We're going to add another description, preacher, Reverend. We're going to add another description.
It's the real dealio, man.
Much. This is so good. It's such an honor, and I appreciate you and your busy schedule taking this time to be with us, to pour into our listeners. You've been with me from the beginning of me putting this thing together, and you're still supporting me, and I really appreciate it. So now, if they want to reach out, where can they go? Where would you like to send them to check you out on IG or your website?
Reach out at Marcus Johnson 360 or Flowwine 360. And Flow is without a W. So FLOWINE 360. Catch me in either one of those. That's like my spot now. It's my new internet. You can catch me also at Facebook, but IG is probably the quickest, easiest way to do so. And find out where we're performing, where we're doing a wine tasting. And as we launch and begin to launch the platform, it's going to be cool because you'll be able to find out what we're doing on both of those IG handles.
For music therapy, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to see you next week in Los Angeles.
Not just music therapy. No, it's mental hygiene.
Mental hygiene.
Yes, it's lifestyle therapy. We are lifestyle therapists, not music therapists. That's too limiting.
Okay.
Beyond that.
I love it. Thank you so much, Marcus.
You got it, girl.
Been a pleasure. You take it easy. We'll talk soon.
You do the same. All right.
Thank you, Ben. Bye. Thank you for joining us. Take some time to uncover what you value and always remember to advocate for yourself. For more information about other episodes, remember to subscribe to the Back to Me podcast, College and Beyond. I'm your host, Yoli Tamu. Leave a review at the end of this podcast, and if you would like to learn more about our book club and other special events, join the Back to Me podcast Facebook group, or simply text Back to Me to 833-206-4565. Until next time, be well.
Back to